Red light devices are big business, whether it's in clinics or for use at home. But for us consumers, choosing the best device is pretty difficult because there's so much to get your head around. Should we be looking for a mask or a panel? Should we choose a device with both red and near-infrared light, multiple wavelengths, or just one? And if it's just one, which one? Should we use constant or pulse light? Does it even matter? Well, this is what we'll be exploring today. And with reports from some consumers of developing pigmentation on their skin after using red light, I'll get a doctor's view on whether there's a risk and what we can do to mitigate it. I'm Clare Johnston, a journalist in my 50s dedicated to understanding how to age well, look and feel good for longer. I do that here and on my website, honest.scot. And consider this a bit of a potted guide to red light devices, designed to help you understand what to look out for and hopefully avoid FOMO every time you see or hear someone talking about the very latest device that sounds so much better than the one you already bought. So let's start with a quick overview. Most of the top-selling red light masks use LED, light-emitting diode, and usually emit varying wavelengths of light to treat different skin concerns. And for skincare devices, most use small amounts of near-infrared combined with red light. Red light and near-infrared light are both forms of low-level light therapy, and they share some similarities in how they act, but they differ primarily in their wavelength and in turn their penetration depth into the skin. And red light therapy devices are thought to work by strengthening the mitochondria in our cells, which play a big role in supporting and boosting a cell's energy. So there have been quite a few promising red light studies relating to wound healing, and when it comes to its merit as an anti-aging treatment for skin, one of the best is a Korean study published back in 2007, and it saw 76 patients with visible facial wrinkles treated with LED on the right half of their faces twice a week for 4 weeks and followed up after 3 months. There were 4 groups. One used near-infrared LED alone, another used red light at 633 nanometers alone, a third used a combination of near-infrared and red light, and there was a sham treatment group. In the results, there was a significant reduction of wrinkles and an increase in skin elasticity and a marked increase in the amount of collagen in those treated with near-infrared and red light, both separately and combined compared with the untreated group. So that suggests that there's an impact to the skin of using near-infrared and red light both separately and together. Another more recent study from 2023 involved an LED face mask. It was the Skinlight Dior mask, and it was also helpful because that study involved 20 healthy Caucasian women with visible signs of skin aging. It was a prospective clinical trial, meaning the participants were followed over time and the effects of the red light treatment were assessed at regular intervals after 1, 2 and 3 months of using the red LED mask, which operates at 635 nanometers. Importantly, the study used objective measurements, so used equipment to measure results. And it showed progressive and significant improvements across multiple signs of skin aging, including a decrease in the depth of crow's feet wrinkles, increasing over the 3-month period, and a reduction in facial sagging and an increase in skin firmness and skin density. The skin was also found to be smoother and oil production was better regulated. So, can you have too much of a good thing with red light? Well, the science is really shaky on just exactly how much red light is considered optimal, both in terms of time and intensity, but a lot of experts believe you can have too much of a good thing. Studies suggest red light emits a burst of free radicals, which are unstable molecules that are initially helpful to the skin, but only up to a point. So that's why we want to be mindful of the time we spend on individual sessions using constant light until we discover more. Some of you may remember I interviewed Maysama skincare founder Bev May Sanderson on this channel, and I'll link it below for those who haven't seen it. Bev has a degree in microbiology and has spent a lot of time researching red light, and she now sells some red light devices as well. And she believes that pulsed light has advantages over constant because, in her view, it gives you a burst of helpful free radicals and prevents an unhelpful buildup of them. That view has some support in a review paper published in the Lasers in Surgery and Medicine journal, which compared pulsed low-level light therapy with continuous wave, concluding that pulsed light had a number of advantages, including mitigating an overabundance of free radicals. But the review said more research needs to be carried out to establish the best uses for pulsed over constant light, because continuous red light could have advantages in particular treatment scenarios. So for those who use a mask or panel that doesn't have a pulsed option, there are still lots of benefits to be enjoyed from constant red light therapy. It's just important to stay within the recommended time limits for use so as not to overdo it, because using a red light device for longer than the recommended duration will not necessarily bring more benefits and could go the other way. Based on my conversation with Bev, I use her pulsed red light panel. I have done for over a year now. I'll link it below, along with some of the other devices that I've tried personally. But what about the number of bulbs used in these devices? Should we be looking for one that packs in as many bulbs as possible for greater coverage and intensity? Well, I was recently sent this powerful red light panel from Lumara, which has no less than 1,800 bulbs operating at one wavelength only of red light, which is 660 nanometers. And it's cleverly put together because you store it as a flat panel in a nice red padded case. And then to use it, you just slot the handles either side into an arch holder, plug it into the mains, put your protective goggles on, and you're good to go. The makers say you can use it safely for up to 30 minutes, but that you can get an effective treatment in just 5 minutes of use. It's FDA registered as a medical device and is used in clinics to deliver fast and more intense red light treatments, though it can be used at home too. Now, it is priced at £1,600 or around $2,000, so it would be comparable in price to something like the Dermalux Flex MD, which is similarly shaped but thicker and a more solid device, which also means that it's less portable. The Dermalux Flex, which you'll often see in clinics too, only has 360 bulbs, but uses 3 different wavelengths, including near infrared, which, as we've heard, does have proven benefits for skin too. Lumara also have a face mask with 470 LEDs using the 660 nanometer wavelengths, so significantly higher than the average home device. And they say they're running their own study at the moment into its effects on skin, so I'll keep an eye out for those results. But do we know for sure whether just having more bulbs leading to greater intensity and coverage means better anti-aging effects? Well, this is where it gets frustrating for consumers because it's impossible to find a straight answer on that. And the way I see it is that we have studies showing that genuine LED masks that use actual red light or a combination of red and near infrared and not just red bulbs, they are delivering results on the skin that have been measured through these studies. And so until we know for sure if there are greater and proven benefits to be found from an increased number of bulbs, then I wouldn't go rushing to buy a new one or throw your existing mask out. And you'll notice that wavelengths between devices also differ. And again, until we have concrete evidence around a particular wavelength or combination of wavelengths winning out over another when it comes to improving the look and feel of our skin, I'm not going to get too caught up with that either. So having just tried the Lumara panel for the past 8 weeks, I can say you can definitely feel the intensity of the device and those 1,800 bulbs on your skin. It's by far the most powerful device I've tried. And I have sat under the Dermalux Flex panel when I got a facial at a clinic, and the intensity wasn't the same as the Lumara panel. And what the makers say is that having so many bulbs sitting tightly together means every millimeter of your skin is fully covered. And the arch panel sits quite close to your skin, and you can choose from 5 different levels and treatment times. I typically chose level 4 because I felt that 5 was just too intense for me. I could feel warmth from the panel, and I didn't want to go beyond 5 minutes because, especially in the first few uses, just 5 minutes would leave my skin feeling warmer afterwards, and I had the sensation of my lips being warm and a little drier as well. The company said they haven't had any reports of the device having a drying effect on skin, but it was something I was just a little conscious of. I have reasonably sensitive skin, and as with all things, I suspect our skin responds differently to this intensity. So I used it around 3 times a week, and I mentioned that I had been using my Maysama red light panel roughly every other day for over a year prior to that. And the Maysama panel uses a combination of red light at 660 nanometers and near infrared at 850 nanometers. And I can honestly say that switching from the Maysama panel to a more powerful device for that 8-week period delivered any additional visible results for my skin. So I only use my Maysama panel for around 6 minutes at a time, and I think I'm someone who likes to err on the side of caution. So while you're going to have a group of people who want to use higher intensity devices, I'm in the group that wants to control the intensity to hopefully get benefits without any chance of overdoing it. And what I've found with using red light generally in recent years is that used consistently over time, it does have an impact on the health and appearance of your skin. It's a subtle improvement in appearance in things like fine lines, possibly even deeper lines. My skin's more balanced, it's better regulated in terms of oiliness, less reactive, and I think it's helped reduce my pore size too. And I have no doubt that the Lumara device will offer those benefits as well, but the higher intensity doesn't appear to have added to the benefits I've already had as a long-term user of red light, or that is my experience anyway. Now, what I deliberately didn't mention at the start of this video is that considering the Lumara Illuminate panel is such an expensive item that was sent to me for the purpose of independent review, I'm not going to keep it. I was originally just going to return it after my trial, but I've asked the makers and they said it's okay if instead I give the panel away to a viewer or listener. And I'm only keeping entries open for this for a couple of days because I know my regulars are usually the first to view or listen. So the device that I'm giving away will be pre-used by me, but just for 8 weeks, and it's going to be cleaned and in pristine condition, and I'll include everything that came with it, including the goggles. So you would use it at your own discretion. I just wanted to open this up to regular viewers or listeners who really want to try something like this. And if that's you, then comment below, count me in, and I will add your username to a numbered spreadsheet and pick a winner using a random number generator. The chance to enter will end at 5 p.m. UK time or noon Eastern on Thursday, May 8th, 2025. Full details around this giveaway are in the description too, so check that out. So weighing it all up for a first-time red light buyer, consider a panel if you want wider coverage so that you can treat multiple areas at one time. And I would stick to brand names or devices that have plenty of independent reviews online. And there's something as well called the Medical Device Single Audit Program, which audits devices for compliance across participating countries, including the US, Australia, and Canada. The UK isn't a full member, but it's involved and is looking to join. And being certified by this program is another mark of credibility we can look for as consumers if you're looking at a non-locally produced device. Devices worth their salt that are sold internationally should have FDA clearance too, so that's another thing to look out for. With that in mind, I would be wary of cheaper, unknown brand devices without regulator clearance that are floating around the internet, because some will just have red bulbs, which are not LED and will do nothing. Red light masks and caps are typically less expensive than panels and can work just as well for isolated areas like your face, chest, or scalp. My mum uses a cap from Higher Dose, providing 650 nanometers of red light, which is thought to be particularly effective for hair growth. And she's seen great results with that. So I will link to an article with more information on that below, along with other videos I've done around using red light at home. Finally, I often get asked by viewers about the risk of pigmentation with red light therapy, particularly for those with darker skin tones. And so I'm going to share with you now a little clip from a conversation I recently had with two doctors who've appeared on the channel in the past. They're Dr. Qian Xu and Dr. Emmeline Ashley. And they each have significant general medical experience as well as cosmetic expertise too. And Dr. Chen is a big fan of red light and uses it with her own clients. And so here she is sharing her insight into the risk of pigmentation.
Red light therapy is absolutely safe. It's very low level light therapy. It doesn't put a lot of heat into the skin. It doesn't damage the skin. It's very gentle. Under natural sunlight is a UV rays that will kind of damage the skin and make us tan. And with the strong laser treatments, it's the heat that's produced and the damage that's caused to the skin that then cause this rebound hyperpigmentation. Red light doesn't do any of that. It doesn't contain UV rays, and it doesn't damage the skin. It doesn't put heat into the skin. Because it goes much deeper. What I would say is that people with darker skin should just be careful that they're not overdoing those things.
Yes,
But the things that cause hyperpigmentation, heat, injury, friction. So if they are using it, if they're overusing it, or if they're putting it too close to the face and it's actually then, because it does heat up a little bit, it makes the skin quite warm. So if they're using it for a long period of time and there's a lot of heat there and it's there on a regular basis, then those factors possibly can cause, can worsen or cause hyperpigmentation, but it's not the red light itself that's causing it.
So what we heard there from Dr. Qian is that in her opinion, the risk of causing pigmentation from red light alone should be very low, even with darker skin tones. And of course, we have a lot of reports and some clinical evidence as well that red light can help even reduce hyperpigmentation across skin types. So I think that's as much as we can say on that right now. And I hope this episode gave you a little bit more insight and understanding of where we are with red light devices right now. No single spec or intensity stands out scientifically as the best right now. So I don't think there's any need to feel FOMO when you see or hear someone raving about a new device. Instead, consistency is key to getting results. You'll find more content around red light linked below, and you'll also find a link to a sign-up page for my free monthly newsletter where I round up all the latest episodes and articles from me so you don't miss a thing. And a reminder, instructions for how to enter that giveaway are down there too. If you haven't already, then by subscribing or following, you'll find it easier to spot new episodes from me. But for now, thank you for being here today.